Hey Real Tycoon Nation, so once again we are back with the Getting Real with Real Tycoon show. So in this episode, we have got one of my very close friend who has got some very good basic stuff about AR and VR and how it can be utilized for the next 5 to 10 years. And because he has worked on some few of very good projects on AR and VR, and feel he can add value to the show and you people. So Rohit, why don't you introduce yourself to the Real Tycoon Nation?
Hi guys, this is Rohit. I'm a BTech undergrad from IIT Madras. On my friend's request, I have come to share my views and whatever little idea I have about AR and VR from my few of my internships and so.
So Rohit, why don't you give some pretty basic stuff like a overview of how AR and VR works in the present scenario? I mean, in the present current time.
AR and VR, these are the terms everyone would have heard about by now, but most of them they wouldn't know the difference between. Okay. They might be pretty confusing, right?
Yeah. So augmented reality and virtual reality. So they seem like similar terminology, most of them.
And they have mutual targets as well.
Okay.
So the main point of VR is immersion.
Okay.
So you have almost zero interactivity with the physical world, and you're completely taken to a new world.
Okay.
And it takes control of all your senses, as many senses as possible, like your vision, sight. I mean hearing, the vestibular system, and possibly touch, and things like that. AR is more like you're adding information to the world. What you see, you're improving your interaction with the real world, real world objects. Right now VR has gained a lot much hype recently, and it has now people have realized what are the limitations by now. Like every technology will go through this hype cycle, what they call. And after a certain time, everybody realizes the where we stand with the technology in the timeline.
So you can say it's almost like the app thing, which whenever the smartphone started entering to the getting into the mainstream, people started creating apps, which was the beginning a bit fad.
So just for the sake of it, just for getting a glimpse of what it can do, people rush to, they invest a lot, but lately we have come to know the shortcomings. Like for running really good quality VR, we need like $10,000 rig systems and all. I mean only the top end systems which are available in the market can barely run at a decent quality. The VR system, and there are also mobile VR, if you think of it, like Samsung and Google, Daydream and all. But there's a bit substandard, you can say, but they don't have things like mobility. I mean, you can't move around with your point of view character moving around simultaneously.
So we can just stay in one place and just experience the park.
So it's mostly in mobile VR. We have only seen up to 360 degree, which are almost like no interaction at all. You can just look around the total video instead of looking at the 2D video. That is, things are improving now. Everybody is focusing on mobile. We are trying to make it as good as the desktop versions and all.
So why don't you tell about yourself? Like what was the kind of project you were involved into, and the kind of company also you worked in?
One of the most promising fields which VR can really make its mark is the medical industry. Exactly what, in a sense, we can train the medical students, to be doctors and all in a very systematic way. I mean, very effective way. Like they can do real time operations on surgeries and on the virtual patients. I mean, thinking simulating that experience, that tense environment, and a group of students doing teamwork, and the system we can program in such a way it can assess what they are actually doing, how well they are doing. Like say a person, I mean a student is applying too much pressure to check the pulse, the system can assess that and give points, and it's very interactive and like
Okay.
very effectively it can point out what mistakes one might be doing, which others, I mean humans cannot perceive all those things. So that way I have worked on a project, it is a surgery simulation project.
Okay.
What people are currently focusing on is, I mean the problem with VR, one of the problems with VR is, although the virtual world is there, when you have the freedom to move, it doesn't make sense until you get a force feedback in the real world. Say there's a table in the virtual world, you try to place something on that in the virtual world, but if something doesn't stop your hand at that moment, you won't, you lose that immersion part.
Exactly.
That's the point of virtual reality. You want it to be as immersive as possible. So people are focusing on trying to give that extra force feedback. Like I worked on a project recently. It is a basic scissoring thing, like scissor. Yeah, scissoring is one of the basic operations in many scenarios. So when a the trainee cuts a virtual tissue maybe or a blood vessel, in that he'll be holding a real scissor in his hand, to which the real equipment will be there, like sensors and actuators. So when in the virtual world, when something is happening, like you are actually cutting something, you have to get a force feedback. You have to have some resistance in the scissor. Like something should resist your motion. That is the that haptics part is what people are trying.
So let me get into detail regarding your particular project. So so in your project, were you trying to create that resistance over there?
Yeah, that's the point of the project.
Okay.
The virtual world, like we have so many developers now, so many animation experts and all. They can do anything. Virtually they can do anything. But here the thing is how you make that also augmentable in the real world. That is the key part for the ultimate experience.
So you mean the prime part is going to be focused on the creating the most of touch part also?
Yeah, the touch part, the haptics part. That is one of the things they can consider, and there are other problems like they are ever persistent until now. Like some people get nausea and all, like they can't take that for more than 5 minutes. That is due to again substandard systems. Like we don't have that good fast and compact systems which can run the programs without jitter, like smooth transitions.
Okay. So I want to talk about one more part, like the fad part. So if at all you take startup, at least the startup land. So from if you take the startup ecosystem for the last 2 to 3 years, the kind of investment that is coming into startup world is kind of really low compared to the ones that happened around 2013, 2014. Because at that point of time, like 2013 and 2014 was a fad. Like everyone wants to start a startup, and it wasn't like a business. It was something of this sort. More of a funding game. More of a funding game. So now right at this point of time, it's almost coming into the mainstream. Like they are trying to create a proper business. So if at all you take AR and VR also, like augmented reality and virtual reality. So what could be the mainstream? Like if at all you right now, like most of the people are just putting on the headsets and they are just trying to experience it. Like it's most of just like the fad part. So what's going to be what can be into the mainstream, like the utility, coming to the utility, just as you pointed out to the medical part, what can be the other things that can, according to you, any prediction of that sort?
According to me, I mean everybody has faith that in coming 5 or 10 maybe 5 years the systems are going to be much powerful, more compact and less expensive, and also from the developers point of view, people, they've just got the new tool in their hands. I mean they still don't know what to do. That's what happens with every
technology. Testing is going on still.
mean, you still we have no idea how to truly harness that potential. So the developers and the creators, they have to go hand in hand. Both should keep developing. And
So you mean like it's almost like the beginning of the iPhone, like iPhone, like all everything was available other than the apps.
Yeah.
So once apps have come onto the phone, like people started using it more and understanding. I mean, they started harnessing the potential of the phone.
Of all the sensors.
Yeah.
And all.
So you mean we can have it in the similar way, even for AR and VR.
AR and even AR is developing. Like you can get really good experience with AR apps right on your phone. Like there are some apps people are still working on. Like you can scan your room and you can place a table. It's virtually not present real. Like you can go to a shopping website, furniture website, and take a piece of furniture and place it in your room and look through your phone how it might look like if you actually bought and put it there. That is one really common application which has penetrated into mainstream.
So Pokemon Go is the start of the game.
Yeah, Pokemon Go was the main accelerator there. And but still compared to VR, AR is much behind the hype cycle. Like it is still in the hype thing, and it has to come over to the actually enlightenment area. So people almost they are yet to realize still how much far away they are from what they are perceiving right now. Like people, they are like now, okay, they experience whatever it is, VR or AR, they think, oh, is this it? Is this VR? They are in that kind of state. So as years go on, VR will take over in like 5 years probably.
But still people will be using the headsets even after 5 years, do you think so? Because according to me at least, like the kind of setup that will be going through, like when it comes, see right now, like AR and VR mainly into B2B platforms, that's it. They are not into the consumers, hands of consumers. So but according to me, what I personally feel is so once the things got getting into hands of all the consumers, the kind of equipment also will be keep on reducing, like it will be becoming more compact. Yeah, that was one more. So one more thing I just wanted to know was regarding the kind of experience of, suppose if at all I put on a VR headset and go to different place. I mean, if I have to experience this particular place, do you think that will be possible? Because that's what real estate guys are. I mean, there are few startups which are focusing on real estate in that particular way. So what do you think about that part?
Coming to the mobility part, right now the highest form we have is you can span a space of room that much. Still you will have cables running and connecting to the computer. Your range will be limited by the computer. I mean the cables.
Okay.
So if you want true mobility, you can have mobile VR, but that doesn't measure your movement. It only measures at what angle your head is pointing, your eyes you are looking at. And so for real estate, right now what we have is at most we can have 360-degree videos.
Okay, that's it. That's where you can limit.
Usually they are climbed to the drones and taken a 360-degree video.
Okay.
And you can experience it. That's what they're trying to make 360-degree interactive videos.
Okay.
But that's still
but it's not up to the mark.
It's still far away. It's not that. But it is still, that's one of the main focuses right now, to make 360-degree videos very interactive and also have that physical feel outside the headset. That is
so practically it's kind of 10 years ahead. Can I do you think that will be, I mean, at least 10 years?
10 years we don't know still what else will come in 10 years. All these things what we are speaking now will have become standard by then, but we don't know, like still there are so many possibilities, and there will be so many developers. Like you take something like smartphone industry, you have so many quality developers all around the world. So you have so many ways of utilizing that, even without as much improvement in technology itself. The smartphone technology, it has, you can say it is about to get saturated.
True, yeah.
but still you have so many developers, so many ideas.
Yeah.
You can not think of what might come.
Okay, we cannot ignore. I mean,
We cannot predict
that particular thing.
That is the exciting part in this.
So I was just particular thing about this particular thing. Like, if at all you take the whole Silicon Valley and like Bangalore and any other places, like where the kind of nerds and developers get together and are creating apps and like other infrastructure for AR and VR. So these people, like most of them are small companies. None of them are being funded. Like there are very few companies that are being funded by huge companies like Facebook and Google. So other than those huge companies, there are the small companies. So how long can they sustain the competition? Because it's there in anywhere near. It's not going to get into the hands of consumers. It's going to be just B2B. So how long do you think the money from the B2B business will be helping these companies to sustain? Because it's not mainstream. Yeah.
I would say it's
because you have worked in a company. You have worked in a company for a very short span of time. So you personally, what did you feel like? Do you think the earnings were sufficient enough to help those people to let them survive on one hand and build the other like the top class infrastructure on the other side?
Like
how did the dynamics work over there?
Right now, everybody is almost sure that the technology will catch up.
Yeah.
So they are thinking long term and starting to develop and keep their accumulate their IPs as much as possible. Like once the right gadgets, right technology shows up, then they will unleash all their years of hard work. So that is what they are looking for. Though it has no apparent promise right now, but still there are a lot of investors investing, and even in India, the company I have worked, they have pretty decent funding, and if you see in US and all, you can say it is almost half mainstream. Like even common houses, they are all the VR equipment, all the setup. For motion tracking, you have like a room setup. You have stickers. You can have stickers all over the wall. It all helps in the tracking and movement and all. The VR content is also on the increase. A lot of VR content is being generated and apps. You can say it is almost half mainstream. So there is, you can say, even 10 years is not 10 years, even 5 years is enough to catch up to what we are thinking it could do now.
So what else, do you think is there any more like good enough stuff to add other than that people should definitely know about VR and AR?
Like right now, clearly VR is on the it's catching up pretty good right now to people's expectations. People's expectations are always high. AR, the mobile part of it, mobile AR, it is good.
So let me stop over here. So other than the mobile version, what are the kind of devices that are available where we can access the augmented reality?
Just like VR, which has its mobile version and desktop quality version, even AR has mobile AR, which we already have in our hands right now. And desktop standard version, that quality of version, which is still like a lot far away than what we might hope for. Like there is Microsoft HoloLens.
So that's kind of a device which is only dedicated for augmented reality.
It is also like a headset. You can wear. It will track everything. It will track even though it has depth sensors. It can track the whole room without. And the best thing is it doesn't have cables running.
Great.
So you can freely move around. But the thing is, it is very expensive. Very expensive. The technology is actually really great. So that's why
Okay,
it's,
you mean compared to any other technology available in the market, it's kind of the next level.
I mean, it is very hard to implement all the with computation having a mobile without a PC attached to it.
Okay.
For VR, you need a very good PC, right? This HoloLens and other similar devices, they don't need that.
Okay.
But they need a very huge array of sensors and depth sensor and all, and they have to constantly match with the environment and recognize it. I mean, image processing, and there is a lot of things going on there. But it's, like I said, it's very expensive, and they haven't released the mainstream version, like
Okay,
for the
fine.
masses.
Okay.
They are only developer kits, and right now one of the hardest problem to overcome what they're facing is the field of view.
Okay.
Is very narrow. Like VR, the point is immersion, right? So you can't see anything else other than what the headset is showing to you. But with these devices, right now, as they are right now, there is the field of view is very little.
Okay.
So
I mean, we have
you can't look at
we have a
a
limited vision. Normally, if I see, if I can see in this way,
if
but
suppose
not always.
on this floor we have a virtual object there, I may not be able to completely see all at one gaze. I have to
Okay, fine, got it. Okay.
I have to look all over it, tilt my head, do that thing. That is a thing there, and battery issues. That it's
Okay.
you can imagine the amount of power it needs and what batteries we have today.
True.
So it has to still, it's a long way. It has a long way to come.
So at the end of the discussion, so if at all you what else can you, from your side, what is your vision on AR and VR? Like, how do you get into this field, and have you planned anything of that sort?
I have entered this. I have looked through some projects like this because obviously it looked new and exciting, and but
how challenging was it for you? Compared, because see, if at all you take anything that already exists, like if at all you take a construction of a building, construction of a building of a round infrastructure. I mean, for suppose if you want to create a building which is kind of spherical in shape, that's kind of next level rather than the normal cuboidal one. So if at all you take AR and VR also, it's a kind of similar way. Like you are trying to work on something that has not existed before. So how were you feeling about that particular thing? Because it's completely new, no one is going to help you in the very beginning at least. Yeah.
In the but although people don't know what they are capable of with this technology, but they have some vision, some really good application fields, like this medical field. They know what to do. They know the limitations, like the limitations of actual medicine industry right now.
True.
So they're merely trying to overcome those. Apart from that, we can have a lot more, like completely new, out of thin air. Something can appear, but still it is very hard to predict those. We never know. I mean, this world is full of so many talented people. Anything might pop up in 2-3 years.
So thank you so much for the adding value over here.
Thank you.
And they know a nigga running, talking something through the fall. Man, I used to have nothing, get a check and then a ball. I was starving all alone, saying I ain't have a plate. Favorite rapper really lame, saying all them niggas fake. Talking green like a vegan, all green, no steak. First deal I turned down, felt like they was in the way. Roll a joint and put it in the ball, either way I'm getting high. Undercover or the rap, either way I'm getting fly. Yeah, rollin' band now, feel like the man now. Nigga, I stand out, he got her hands out, she got her hands out, but she won't touch nothing. Make something out of nothing, pull up and bitch, I'm stunning. All this money that I made, it ain't enough.